Okay, we are here with my long and coming 5th episode of my Force and Destiny series. I apologize for how long it took to get this out. I was been trying to put together a combat video, and I could never get it quite the way I wanted. Then I kind of gave up for a while, but I've decided to come back and start laying the foundation for a future combat video. I thought we'd start in that direction by going over the different type of adversaries your PCs may face in that combat situation. In the Force and Destiny game, there are 3 types of adversaries that your players may encounter. They are minions. They are the first type, and probably the most common type. They're the nameless individuals who are effective only as a group. These include stormtroopers, musicians, civilians, could be anything else, packs of wild animals, anything like that. Anything that is weak individually, but could overcome you in great numbers. The next type of adversary are rivals. These are more powerful than minions, but still inferior to PCs. These include things like stormtrooper sergeants, Toydarian merchants, and fallen Jedi apprentices. These are those characters that generally have minions working for them. You generally won't encounter a rival by itself because he's not quite up to par to handle an entire team of PCs or group of PCs. So you'll generally encounter a fallen Jedi apprentice with some stormtrooper minions or what have you. If you're looking for that big threat, that individual that can take on an entire group of PCs, you're looking for a nemesis. Nemeses are the exact opposite of a PC. They follow all the rules that PCs follow. There are no special exceptions, which make them the most dangerous type of adversary your PCs will face. These include things like bounty hunters, Sith lords, and very powerful monsters. Now, each of these types of enemies follow their own sets of rules and guidelines, which essentially make them easier to use in combat situations, starting at minions and working your way up through to nemeses. So with minions, as we stated, these are the most common type of NPCs encountered in the game. They're nameless individuals used to flesh out encounters. They're weak when encountered alone, to the point that I would never have my PC group encounter a lone minion. Not initially. That might whittle them down to one, obviously, but I would never have them encounter one minion. There's no point. If I wanted them to encounter someone solo that was not too much of a threat, I'd just have it be a rival. They are encountered in groups, gangs, mobs, packs, etc. Whatever fits the type of minion they are. And they follow the following rules. Minions do not suffer strain, voluntary or otherwise. Instead, they take an equivalent number of wounds. This means they can't suffer strain to take extra actions or whatever. And if your PCs ever do anything to them that causes them to suffer strain, they suffer it in wounds instead. Minions do not possess ranks and skill. This is made up for by the fact that minions fight as a group. This imparts a number of special rules that we will go over on the next slide. Finally, minions are killed by critical injuries. That means a single minion is killed when a critical injury is suffered. You don't roll on the chart or anything like that. It's just you do enough wounds to kill a single member of that unit. And we'll get into that more in a minute. Minions have a single wound threshold shared by all members of the group. This wound threshold is equal to the sum of the wound threshold of every member of that group. For this example, we're gonna assume our minion group is a group of 3 stormtroopers. So for this example, our group of 3 stormtroopers would have a total wound threshold of 15. 5 for the wound threshold of an individual stormtrooper, as we can see here, times 3, the number of stormtroopers in the group. So our individual stormtrooper unit has 15 wounds. When a member of the group suffers wounds, it is applied to the group's wound threshold. Each time the total wound suffered exceeds that of a single group members. This font gave me a lot of trouble when making this presentation, and I obviously didn't catch all the mistakes that came up. But each time a single wound suffered exceeds that of a single group member's wound threshold, reduce the size of the group by 1. For example, our stormtroopers will be reduced to 2 members once they are at or below 10 wounds, and down to a single member once they are at or below 5 wounds. And this becomes important for what we're about to go over in a second. When a character attacks a group, they attack the whole, not an individual. Because remember, these are nameless individuals. There's no Fred the Stormtrooper. You're just shooting at the group and taking them out one at a time. When a minion group suffers a critical hit, they suffer enough wounds to kill a single member of the unit. For example, if our stormtroopers suffered a critical hit, they would immediately suffer 5 wounds. So, say they're already down to 13 wounds, suffer a critical hit, they'll suffer 5, dropping them down to 8 wounds, and they lose a member. So they're down to 2 members of the unit now, instead of 3. And just like they are attacked as a group, they also attack as a group, not as an individual. This means they get 1 attack per round. This group attack allows them to gain skill ranks based on the size of their group. They gain 1 skill rank for each member of the group beyond the first. Like all skills, this caps at rank 5. So you could have more than, say, 6 stormtroopers, which would give you your 5 ranks and skills. But it's not going to give you any more ranks and skills. It just prolongs how long they will maintain their rank 5 in skills. I normally wouldn't do more than, say, 7 in a unit, and even that stretching it. I like to keep mine between 3 and 5. I find that to be the most manageable set of numbers. For example, our group of 3 stormtroopers would gain 2 ranks in every skill. This means when using their ranged heavy skill, they would roll 2 yellow dice and 1 green, plus whatever difficulty setback dice or whatever might be appropriate. Now, just as a quick refresher on how to generate a skill pool, you look at the 2 numbers that are going to make up the dice pool. So in this case, for ranged heavy, we have agility and ranged heavy, which for the group of 3 stormtroopers is 2. So we take that larger number, 3, and add 3 green dice to our pool, then upgrade a number of those dice equal to the smaller number, in this case 2. So 2 of those 3 green get upgraded to 2 yellow, and we have the 1 green. So 2 yellow and 1 green. And that's it for the most part with minions. I've found minions tend to give people the biggest fits because it's different than the way a lot of RPGs do it. But I really like it because it really gives your PCs the opportunity to feel heroic. You know, they're not just knocking out a stormtrooper, you know, or 2. They're knocking out a dozen stormtroopers in a fight, and that makes it feel cinematic, in my opinion. My best advice when dealing with minions is not to overthink things. They attack as 1, they're attacked as 1. If it helps, what I sometimes do is I write down their threshold. So if I have 3 stormtroopers with 15, I'll write 15, 10, 5. So I know when I'm down below those numbers, their skills are reduced by 1 every time. And that's it. For minions, it's really simple. It can seem complex, and I can understand why it might give somebody some trouble. But again, my advice, don't overthink it. So moving on to rivals. They are close to PC level of power. They're more dangerous individually than minions, operate individually instead of in groups, are less skilled than PCs, and follow the following rules. They follow almost all the rules of PCs, except for some slight tweaks. to critical injuries. They suffer critical injuries normally, but instead of being incapacitated when they overcome their wound threshold, they can just be killed. And they do not suffer strain. They're like minions. When a rival is dealt strain, they suffer an equal number of wounds. Any ability that would inflict strain thusly inflicts wounds instead. A rival may not voluntarily suffer strain/wounds, just like minions. And that brings us finally to Nemeses. These are those big bads, the enemies that are going to give your characters nightmares. You could have a small group of nemeses going up against your characters. You might have one great big nemesis to take on all the members of your group. The great thing about a nemesis is that it can go any way you want. They are just like PCs. What I like to do is I like to create a couple of different nemeses for the campaign that mature with the characters. You might have one that's way out of their league and that they have to aspire to beat, but I also like to have some that mature with them. So they always have that constant threat, and you build a rivalry that I think is very fulfilling for me. Now, the important thing with the Nemeses is that they are identical to PCs in almost every way. They're the most dangerous type of adversary. They may possess talent, skills, high-level equipment. They may be more powerful than an individual PC. Than individual PC. And the rules for Nemeses, they suffer strain, wounds, critical injuries, just like a PC. They do not have any special rules governing their operations, and they function by all the same rules and guidelines that PCs do. They function just like a PC in every way imaginable, for better or worse. And that's it for the different types of adversaries you're going to encounter. It can seem like a lot, I know, and this system can definitely take some mind wrapping to get used to it. But the best suggestion I have, again, keep it simple. When in doubt, just swing it. This system is so forgiving of doing your own thing. Don't get hung up on something during a game. Just do whatever you think feels right. And look at the rules at the end of the game. But for minions, just remember, everything is a group. You have a number of things acting as one. And that's it, I guess. I guess that's really all I have to say on Adversaries. If this helped you out, please feel free to give me a like and a subscribe. It really helps me out. And hopefully in the future, I will be doing my next planned video, I think, is going to be on equipment, because I'd like to go over some of the qualities that a weapon can have that we might be using in our combat example, and then hopefully soon I will be doing an actual combat example. Also keep a lookout for some setup and playthrough videos for the Rebellion the Rebellion board game, which I just got the other day. So I hope this helped you out, and I'll talk to you later.